Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of you don't see a lot of the party switching that you used to. I think people are just basically the elected people in office are saying to heck with both these parties. It does no good to go from Democrat to Republican or Republican to Democrat because both parties are absolutely corrupt right now. You know, is a third party viable? Well, we've been through all the third parties. My criticism of third parties is they're a lot like they're a parlor game. People like to get together, the Greens, the Libertarians. They talk about what it would be like to get into office, but you know the actual stamina isn't there and the money isn't there.
That's why I think criminal indictments are the way to go. We need to have state grand juries, special prosecutors at the federal level. We need to see Geithner and the rest of these guys arrested. End it that way.
And then you've got to deal with the corrupt, bought and paid for judges, not only on the federal benches, but on the state benches. And there's a slew of them out there.
Yeah, that's why we've gotten to this point, because the systemic corruption, like a cesspool, has gotten so thick and so deep that we're collapsing like Mexico. Stay there. I want to get into a bunch of other news and issues with Wayne Madsen, our guest, and phone calls later. There's a lot of hot issues, important issues Wayne's going to be covering on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Okay, we're going to cover Blackwater, Obama's records with the CIA, clearly black ops. We're going to get into blackmail, stellar wind. It's come out that under the Patriot Act, they've been spying on Congress people. Same thing in the Parliament in England. When people in the Parliament have exposed it, they've been raided by the bureaucracy. So you have the bureaucracy taking over the governments. And the latest false flag info from the CIA bombing in Afghanistan with a triple agent, they said, and a lot more with Wayne Madsen. And your calls the last 15 minutes or so, for those that are holding, I'm really, again, honored to always have Wayne Madsen and WayneMadsenReport.com on with us. Our websites, of course, are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Okay, Wayne, of those four things I mentioned, false flag, blackmail, Obama's records, Blackwater, which one you want to take first?
Well, let's talk about the blackmail and the fact that this National Security Agency program, which was once codenamed Stellar Wind, that was a very highly kept code word during the Bush administration. We knew about it because of some leaks that came out of the Justice Department, fortunately from people that knew it was illegal, but since the compromise of Stellar Wind, the code name's changed. I would love to get the new one, but you know, people at the National Security Agency and other intelligence agencies are basically running scared because they've got their own internal Gestapo security people trying to find out, of course, who's leaking anything to the media, no matter how illegal it is. And I would point out that it's their first responsibility and loyalty is to the Constitution and not to any non-disclosure forms they fill out. Many of them know that, but they know they could face jail time and loss of their jobs. So it's a big risk they would take. However, Stellar Wind is still in practice. I understand Rahm Emanuel is now using it as much as Karl Rove used it during the Bush administration.
And we've seen that in the news. I mean, hints of it, that Congress people are sick of him calling up and threatening them. What would he threaten them with?
Well, you know, if you've got access to people's private conversations and emails, you would know a lot about their financial situation, whether their plans for running for other office, for running for re-election, things that, you know, you keep in confidence until you make a decision to go public. Well, if Emanuel has all that information, that can be extremely useful in him pressuring members of Congress, pressuring elected governors, elected mayors around the country to get on his bandwagon or else. And I understand that has occurred, and that largely led to people like Senator Dorgan and Governor Ritter of Colorado and Senator Dodd deciding to bail out. We may see other people bailing out before this is all said and done because they're just sick and tired of this lunatic Emanuel who likes to bang steak knives onto tables and yell, you know, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. And, And
he openly at congressional meetings, when Obama says something, he cracks knuckles and tells him, you know, you work for me. I mean, he's out of control.
Yeah, he's out of control. Now, Sally Quinn floated this, who's married to Ben Bradley, the former editor of the Washington Post, she's floated this idea that Emanuel may leave this job as chief of staff and run for mayor of Chicago. Now, I hear that may just be a straw man, a red herring, the cover for the fact he may be leaving because some people want him gone. But we know that many Democrats despise this guy, Emanuel, including former DNC chairman, Governor Howard Dean. But now I'm understanding.
Yeah, all is not well when the chairman of the Democratic Party says this health care bill is a scam.
Right, and I understand there's now bad blood between Emanuel and Mayor Richard Daley of Chicago. Now, in that kind of contest, I'll bet on Daley to win out. Emanuel may be in a lot of trouble, and he may be just, since he's obviously insane, he may just be reaching out.
He does act mentally unstable. Just when I'm watching him in the background on a news feed, he does act like an insane person. Yes,
and it's like a trapped wild animal. They're going to lash out. So be far away from what he does. So this idea that he may be threatening Daley with running for mayor of Chicago, I think is bravado on his part. I think he's looking at the end of his political career, and he had designs to eventually become Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Amazing. So clearly, they are threatening and intimidating and using NSA intercepts to get the health care legislation through.
And everything else that's on their agenda. It doesn't matter, and I would say this even plays in to the Middle East policy. Now, George Mitchell has threatened Israel with cutoff of their loan guarantees, and I would bet that Mitchell's phone call transcripts are now sitting in front of Emanuel.
All right, let's look into Obama's CIA background, blocking his BIA information, and then we'll get into false flag and Blackwater. Big developments there with Wayne Madsen.